Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. I'm the Athletic Geek, and joining me again this week is Dalton Anthony. But this week we're going to have a little bit different of a podcast. Last time he was here, we talked about his wrestling career and what made him a fan of wrestling and all that good stuff. But this week we are literally going to talk about action figures and our action figure collection, or more specifically, his action figure collection, and just the gems, the things he likes to collect, the stories behind quite a few of them, and yeah. So if you're not really into listen to two nerds talk about how much they love collecting action figures, or think that's just a thing that you're supposed to grow out of, that sort of thing, then well, this is not the episode for you. But if you are, you're going to be in for a treat. So Dalton, thanks for being back on the show.
I'm happy to be back. And if you're not into it, listen to it, because maybe we'll get you into it,
Maybe.
and then you can hate us more. Like, because then you'll have a problem if you end up liking this a whole lot.
Yeah, because then you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. How dare
Oh
you
no!
have
Oh
so
no! Oh
many?
no!
Yeah. But to start us off, when do you have any memories of the first action figures you kind of were attracted to as a kid? Like, were you did you start off with wrestling figures? Did it start off with um, anything else, or just where did it begin?
Uh, Whenever I think back on like the first action figures, there's a few that come to mind. I had a Batman and Robin from the George Clooney movie, and I know it's the worst one. I'm very aware it's the worst one, but it is my favorite Batman movie is Batman and Robin, because that's what got me into it. Um, I had these
It's not.
two.
It's not. It's your favorite in a bubble, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not like your
it's.
favorite now in the post Dark Knight world, right? Like we're we gotta
Oh
make
no,
sure
I'm
that.
aware. I'm aware it's garbage, but like in my heart, it'll always be my favorite one. But they had like these plush dolls that were like plushes, Batman and Robin, but the heads were kind of like a harder plastic.
Okay.
I remember those two. Um, and then I had the head flipper Mighty Morphins,
I had a couple of
Power
those.
Rangers. Yeah, I had the whole team except for the White Ranger, and then um, I had I don't know if I had all four of them, but I had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures where they were athletes. So
Okay.
I had like I think it was like Raphael as a baseball player. Um, and then I would have to go back and look at it, but like I don't have any of my old toys from my childhood at all. But those are the ones like I very much remember. Wrestling figures, I want to say I didn't really start getting into until I was like in kindergarten or in first grade, because I remember getting those as gifts. Those were like I very much remember the first set of wrestling figures I got with the Bone Crunchers, but
Okay.
I had just started grade school. So I was like kindergarten, so I was like 5. Um, but I don't remember having wrestling figures before that. Like I remember having the Batman and like the TMNT stuff, and I remember that stuff was just always there. But wrestling figures didn't happen until I was like in kindergarten.
Okay. Um, do you remember? You mentioned the Bone Crusher. Do you remember which wrestlers you got as your first wrestling figures, or that
I
too far
can't
back?
remember. No, I can remember bits and pieces. So I can tell you that my babysitter got me a Kane and an
Okay.
Undertaker, because I got it with the ring. Like it didn't all come together, but like my mom got me the ring that came with a cage accessory,
I had that
and
too.
then
Yes. Yes.
yeah, and then my babysitter got me an Undertaker and Kane 2-pack of Bone Crunchers. I think it was a
I
two
think I
pack,
had
or she
those
just
as.
bought me.
I think I
Yeah,
had those
and
too. Too.
then
Yeah.
like I can remember bits and pieces of what I got and who got it for me. I can't remember exactly what the first one was. I also had a Stone Cold, and I got so many Stone Cold Bone Crunchers because they made so many of them.
You, and for those
But
that and for those that don't, maybe weren't collecting figures at the time or don't know about that, when they created, you think it's bad now? Like they had variants upon variants of figures, and when you're a kid, like you don't want the variants for like we do now, where it's like, okay, we have to have this, and we got to have the new one, we got to have the 1 in 1,000, and we got to have the Cody Rhodes attire from All Out, and we got to have the Jon Moxley from Revolution. Like, it was just a matter of, hey, I gotta have Stone Cold in boots. I gotta have Stone Cold in the vest and the boots. I gotta have Stone Cold in jeans and the Austin 316 shirt. I gotta have Stone Cold in the jean shorts and the Austin 316 shirt. Gotta have The Rock in his attire. Gotta have The Rock in the $500 shirt. Gotta have The Rock in the tracksuit. Gotta have The Rock in the Brahma Bull t-shirt and the tracksuit. So,
and Jack specific was Johnny on the spot with all of it.
oh yeah,
because it was the only way to have a figure fed. Like, that was the only way to do it. You had to have all of those. It sounds insane. It kind of is, but like, that's how hot wrestling was when we were children, to the point to where a figure company could make all that, and they were selling off the shelves all the time.
yeah. And it's something. It's something. It's funny you mention that. I remember, AEW figures now were like the big rage, and everybody's wanting to collect them. They fly off the shelves, and nobody. You have to order them online and everything like that. And I remember a friend of mine, they were saying because every line had a Moxley, every line had a Cody, or every line had a Kenny, and they were just like pissed off about that. Like, why the fuck they gotta keep having fucking Cody, and why they gotta keep having fucking Kenny, and like, why the nobody. I'm getting tired of seeing them in every line. I'm like, you understand that those are like three of the biggest stars, and whenever people like us don't just run through and buy everything already, that kids want to do it, and kids want to buy Moxley and Cody and
because like
Kenny and all of those names, and if there's one in every series, then it's much more likely the kid's gonna go, Mom, look, I want Cody, or Mom, look, I want Kenny, or Mom, look, I want Moxley, and buy the figure.
Yeah, and like, I love SCU so much. Whenever they were together, it's real easy to find a Kazarian or a Scorpio Sky right now. Like, I can go to the Walmarts in my area and find them.
Same.
So we very much are starting to have those peg warmers, and I hate using that term for those two guys because I love them, but like we're getting that with AEW. Riho from Wave like 2,
and that's sad.
Maybe
Rio's
becoming 2
becoming...
or 3. That was a rough one for a while. It's becoming a lot less, but like, I mean, we're starting to get that with those figures too, where it's like, I mean, yeah, it's really hard to find that Orange Cassidy figure, but I can get a Riho pretty easily.
Absolutely right.
But yeah, no, like the Jax toys, I got into those super hard because they made everybody. I'm really into the Major Wrestling Figure podcast.
Right.
And they do they book a figure fed on their Patreon page. And last year during COVID, whenever there wasn't a lot of entertainment, they were doing it like weekly. They were giving you a weekly TV show that they were booking. Matt and Brian were. And
I haven't seen that, but I would have liked that. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot how much, like, in that time. So like, whenever, because I was born in 92, we're not that far apart age wise. I don't think, at least.
Yeah, but I'm 89. So
yeah, so we're like pretty much like in that same ballpark. Whenever we were kids, there was 3 major toy companies with 3 major companies working in wrestling, because Toy Biz was with WCW. Original San Francisco Toy Makers was doing ECW, and then Jax was doing WWE, and they were all 3 right around the same scale.
Right.
So like,
you could have interpromotional matches pretty easily.
Yeah. And I didn't know, I don't know if we got into this whenever I was my first podcast, but I only knew WWF as a kid. But the WCW and ECW were sold at, like, the toys were sold at Dollar General right next to my house, like a block away. And they were half the price of WWF figures. So my mom was smart. She was like, I'm going to give my son 3 figures instead of 1 figure and spend the same amount. But I didn't know who the hell the Dudley Boys were. I had their toys. I didn't know them until I went to WWF. Then it was really cool to have those.
Right.
But like, we got all of these figures, and like, both of those Toy Biz and Original San Francisco also made variants of everything that, like, looking back on it now, made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, okay. I got a story about that one. I'll let you tell your story, and then I'll tell mine.
Oh, no, it was just one of those things where, like, I had a Taz and a purple singlet Taz has never worn purple. They made it though, just because they were just like, oh no, it's the '90s, we can make whatever, and then they just pump these toys
See,
out.
that's what I have. I have and I didn't buy this as a kid. Like I bought this one as an adult at the Superman celebration in Metropolis, just because there's a person selling figures. But there was like a Tommy Dreamer, but his shirt was red and yellow. Like it was a
Yeah,
red
that's
and
another
yellow
one.
ECW shirt, and I'm like, I'm not saying buying this like this makes no fucking sense, but I want a Tommy Dreamer, and it's by
Yeah.
buy four get one free, and I like I mean not trying to get too big. He said some things I'm not too proud of now, but I'm a Tommy Dreamer fan. He didn't say those things in 2017, but I'm a Tommy Dreamer fan, so here we go.
I have teamed with Joey Ryan. I get it.
I'd like. I'm not condoning anything, but I'd like to think that there's different levels to what we're discussing there when it comes to Joey.
No,
Tommy.
I'm just saying. I totally get it. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of Ric Flair fans out there that really don't like being Ric Flair fans right now.
Exactly.
So no, I totally get it. But yeah, like that's the one good thing I'll give figure companies now is that we're not getting that as much. Like it's very rare that we get like super inaccurate figures. We'll get there are some people in the action figure community. I'm pretty deep in it where I'm on like a lot of boards and Facebook pages and like Twitter follows and stuff. That they're like, well, MJF never wore that color with that wrist tape. And like, I don't care about that. As long as it's ballpark, like if I can imagine him wearing that, it's fine. It's not like MJF wore a singlet that was all pink, and that's in an action figure. Like they pretty much have narrowed it down to being very realistic all the time in what they are represented as in the figures, which is really cool because like you can have a very realistic action figure collection of like what they actually were wearing.
Right. It's funny you mentioned the '90s and the variants with wrestlers. You mentioned collecting Batman figures, Turtles figures, etc. Did you ever notice, and maybe I'm in the minority here with this one, but like as a kid, they had like 1,000 different Batman figures, because
And none of them were in the cartoon.
Yes, that. But
yeah, but
the next point I was gonna make is like I understand why they're gonna do that. Like I mean, you want to go kid with allowance money, you want to get a new Batman. You don't care that Batman's wearing green for no fucking reason, or he's got like this weird red circle around the bat symbol that's supposed to symbolize go with this armor that he's supposed to wear. You don't care, but even as a kid, even though I let them play me essentially and buy all of it, did you ever get frustrated just being somebody who's like, I really just want the regular Batman suit and the regular Robin suit and the regular Batgirl suit. I just want that. Like I have okay, cool. Like I have all of the variants. I have Hang Glider Robin and disc shooting Batman and frickin' showing just kind of like pink suited Batgirl with like a special cape, that like is harder and that like looks like it's supposed to be like metal or something. But I just want Batgirl, Batman, and Robin. Like, is that so much to ask? Did you ever run into that problem as a kid, or did you ever experience that where you bought it, or were you just like, yeah, fuck yeah, figures?
Fuck yeah, figures. That's how I was. Because like no, I thought about it too. Because like I would get the Batman figures and then be like, well, I've never seen them wear that in the show. Because like I watched animated series because it was still running like on Fox Kids and stuff like that. So I would see it. And like you would get these Batman, the animated adventures and animated series figures of suits they literally never wore. And Underwater Batman, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. What episode's that in? What? Like that's how and like it still happens today because I'm in toy sections all the time. I see all these things and I'm like, that's never existed. I get why a kid would want that though, because that's a pretty baller outfit.
Yeah,
like
Underwater Batman and his suit, because Batman, the creature of the night, definitely wants a light blue suit.
Yeah. In retrospect, yes, it's pretty insane. But it never bothered me as a kid, but like as an adult, because like I collect I can't even say mainly wrestling stuff. I collect a lot of different waves of figures, and I had just kind of started dipping my toe into the DC McFarlane figures.
Okay.
I think they're called like Multiverse, but McFarlane makes them.
Right. Right.
Because whenever I didn't really get into action figure collecting until I was like 22, 23. Like I had them as a kid, but like I wasn't buying them to like collect until
Right.
I was like in college because I worked at Hastings in Cape Girardeau whenever that was still a store. Um,
That was a beautiful
and
store. It's a shame it's not there now.
oh god, I mean, I have stories about it. It was the job that I hated, but I loved it because I never had to care. Does that make sense? Like I didn't like it was the equivalent of just like it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life, but also you could get away with so much stuff at that store. Like not illegal,
That's a
but like
tell some stories as long as nobody's gonna be incriminated or put in jail over them. Like I'd love to hear them if you're willing to share.
oh no, like and I don't condone no, actually I do after like COVID and all the Black Fridays I worked, I'm perfectly cool with a customer service rep being shitty with me. If I'm even trying to be a little shitty, I'm like, nah, you should be allowed to give it back. And that's what like Hastings kind of allowed you. Because like we had a corporate, but they didn't really care. And it was also like a movie rental place.
Yes.
So half of the disgruntled people I deal with were either um didn't like the money that I was giving them back on books or would argue with me on that or like would be upset that they didn't have late fee or they'd be upset that they had late fees.
Right.
So like it was real easy to be shitty to those people and like there was some humdingers that I threw people through that my other employees because I was a manager, my other employees jaws would drop whenever I would do it because I would just be like, "Nah, I'm not going to take that." Like a guy wanted to fight me over the Lion King. Um like wanted me to go outside fight him over the Lion King because he brought it to like trade in, and it was like a Blu-ray DVD set. And this is so not about figures, and I apologize.
Oh no, it's fine.
um,
It's great.
um, but it was like a Blu-ray DVD set, and he didn't have one of the discs. So I was like, and I don't want people to think that I was just a dickhead while I was working at this like almost minimum wage job, even though I had every right to be. But
Right.
like. I was always really polite until I wasn't supposed to be polite. It was very much Roadhouse Dalton of me. It's like be nice until you don't need to be nice. And um, I was like, "Hey, man, you don't have the Blu-ray. I can't take it in, unfortunately." And he was like, "It was in there." And I was like, "Nah, it wasn't. Like, I just opened it." And he was like, "You probably took it." And I looked at him and was like, "You think I stole just?" That was the DVD. Because I was like, "Why wouldn't I steal the Blu-ray copy? That's worth more." It was like right when Blu-ray was starting to become really popular. And I
Right.
was like, "Why wouldn't I steal the more expensive thing?" And he was like, "No, you took it." And I was like, "Sir, I didn't." And I was like, "You can leave." And he was like, "You want to fight about it?" And I was like, what, like go outside? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I'll go outside. So Hastings had like a wraparound, and then you had to go through the registers, and then the door was on the exit. I was behind the wraparound. So I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, I'll meet you out there. And I like shut the thing. I still had it in my hand. And as he was walking around, I had thrown the case as far out as I could and then just walked back and went behind my wrap, which you couldn't like get behind, and then just said, "Have a good day." And he was like wanting to fight me, and I was like, "No, I went outside and threw your shit out. I wasn't gonna fight you. You asked me if I want to go outside," and he just didn't know what to do. And like my associate was like one of my best friends. He was like trying not to die while ringing up people. Like it was an insane store to work at, where it was like we had to deal with the most insane people, but they also were like, just don't take shit. Like it was a really weird middle ground. I also miss that it's not a store anymore, but man, I fucking hated that place.
But um, that was
But that
that was an
anyway,
excellent
that
story.
being
Yeah.
said, they sold figures there, and I had a really good discount on them, and they had like a Nightwing figure, which I'm a big Nightwing fan.
Ooh, yes, love Nightwing.
And that's what like they had action figures, and I'd always see them there. And I had like a really good friend Andy that like I went to his house, and he had a nerd room that had all these action figures, and I didn't have that. So they had this Nightwing figure from the Arkham City game, and I got it like pretty cheap. It was like $12. It was because of my discount. So I bought that, and it kind of scratched that itch. And I just started kind of buying figures from there. But DC figures always sucked, like compared to Marvel Legends, because this was like 2013, 2012. Marvel Legends just got scooped up by Hasbro. and DC was kind of just, they have been on a rotating manufacturer of different people making them, and all of them kind of sucked except for this McFarlane. They look really cool, and McFarlane Toys has a really good reputation for making good action figures. So I gave them a chance, and these McFarlanes are sweet, but they do the thing what we were talking about earlier about suits that we'll never see. Like, because they do the Todd McFarlane Imagines Batman, and it looks cool, but I'll never buy it because it'll never be in a comic book. Because now I'm like, if I haven't seen what this is supposed to be, I'm
Right.
not buying it, because that becomes a really slippery slope really quick with figures.
Right. Yeah, it's like even with AEW, it's kind of like, you know, do I really need this? Do I really need this figure for this guy? This is not one of my favorites, but yeah, I guess. You
I
know.
have a really strict rule with my wrestling figures that I made about 2 years ago.
And what is that rule?
One of every gimmick.
Okay.
I can only have one of every gimmick. Now, with AEW just being brand new, I have a few exceptions to that rule.
Right.
Um, because like I wanted a complete wave one set,
Yes.
without the chases. So like I have an entire set of wave one.
Do you
Um,
have Brandy?
I do have Brandy.
Okay.
I ordered her whenever they first dropped, so like I didn't have that problem. Brandy's the only AEW figure that's not a chase that I haven't seen on store shelves. I've literally seen everything up to wave 6 in shelves. I haven't seen wave 7 yet, but I got mine through ringside. But like everything else I've
I
literally
got everything but Brandy through ringside because I'm just kind of like, Brandy will be one. I want to save the money and kind of like Cody and Kenny and the Bucks, and you know those are good. I didn't even get Jericho at first, and then eventually it's just, oh hey, they're going really hot. Yeah, I need to get the. Oh wait,
Yeah.
I can't get. I can still get Jericho, but not get Brandy. Damn, I was fortunate. To get Brandy through High Spots was doing a private signing with Cody and Brandy where you could buy a signed figures of both of them, and I'm
Ooh,
like,
that's cool.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, gotta get on you know, definitely gotta get on both of those because yeah,
Yeah.
especially Brandy because and the one caveat is you're either gonna be getting one or one B of both, and I was very lucky and got a series one signed by both. Like I was,
You got 1A, yeah. And that's what kind of screwed me on that, was that 1A, 1B situation with the skin tone, because I was like, I only need one of each. And like, if my thought is if they ever make a cooler figure or if they make a more updated figure, I will trade those out.
right.
Since they did the skin tone variant, the mistake happened where they were like pasty white. I've just decided that I'll always keep those. So I have a Cody, Kenny, Bucks, Jericho, and then the Brandy didn't change really. It was pretty much stayed the same. But I have all those. I'll never get rid of those. But I had to get replacements for all of them except for Brandy because I didn't like the skin tone versus everything else. So I had to get like another set of Bucks, another Cody. Fortunately, they made all those really quick turnaround, and then I had to wait till like Series 7 or Series 6 to get a new Jericho. And then Kenny, they've made a bunch of times. I think I have Wave 4 because I really liked that one. But like my rule with one gimmick is like if I bought that unmatched Series 1 Kenny, I have to sell that Wave 4 one because man, that becomes a real dangerous game really quick. And what happened was is whenever my girlfriend and I moved in together, we kind of consolidated our collections. And this is, I'm not joking, I was looking at 5 Seth Rollins elites back to back to back to back. And I was about to put them up, and I was like, I don't need 5 Seth Rollins. I need 1 Seth Rollins. So I started selling a bunch of stuff that way, because I just didn't need all of those. And that's why, like, if you ever see me at a wrestling show, I always have action figures in front of me to sell for cheap because that's just extra stuff that I had phased out of my collection.
So bring that
Um,
stride. We're gonna date ourselves a little bit, but like I know there's a stride show coming up. Bring those to stride, and
oh
we'll.
yeah, they're all loose because I don't keep stuff in box. But if there's anything you're ever looking for, let me know, and if I have it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, uh, I very much just look for the defining whatever that character is. So like they did the Rey Mysterio, or Seth Rollins did the mock-up Rey Mysterio gear for his match against Dominic last year. I said if they make that elite, I will never have to buy another Seth Rollins, and they did. I had to customize it, was what really sucked because they didn't want to put Messiah on the figure, so I had to have decals, or I had to buy decals to fix it to make it accurate. Because I do customizing every once in a while, but like that's the perfect Seth Rollins. I will never need another one after that. But
Now,
like Romans, I'll phase out. But
now, so one action figure for gimmick, so there's no bending of, well, I got DX Shawn Michaels, and I have mullet Shawn Michaels from '93, and okay, I need well, 95 Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels and 96 World Champion Shawn Michaels are kind of interchangeable in the fact that one's Intercontinental Champion and one, like, do you have any dilemmas like that, or is that like, nope, this is Shawn Michaels, this is fucking Shawn. I'm just using Shawn as an
uh,
example, but
no, and that's actually very helpful to what I have a rocker Shawn Michaels because I did that Retro Fest
yes,
or Wrestle Fest GameStop. I have that one. I have the WrestleMania Paul Ellering Shawn Michaels, the one that came with the Build-A-Figure for that. And then I have 2006 DX Shawn Michaels, and then I have the WrestleMania against Stone Cold Shawn Michaels. I
okay,
have all of those Shawn Michaels. There's another Shawn Michaels I'm gonna have to buy soon. They're doing the retirement match with Taker in the WrestleMania wave that comes with the Build-A-Figure pieces for Vince McMahon. I'll buy that Shawn Michaels because those are different eras of Shawn Michaels. It's very I don't usually get that close into the weeds like 95, 96 unless they look completely different and I can justify it. Um, I
no,
can,
I'm just saying, like, for mine, like the 95, 96, like, I have one, he's got the SummerSlam gear and comes with a ladder accessory that I have. And then I
yeah,
have the WrestleMania 12 one with him and the world title. It's like, okay,
yeah.
I can justify this a little bit, and then
Those two, those two would be different enough that I would be like, yeah, that's fine.
okay,
But like, I don't need WrestleMania 12 Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania. Is it 14 against Stone Cold? I think it's
yeah,
14. I want to say it's 14. I don't need to have WrestleMania 12 Shawn Michaels and WrestleMania 14 Shawn Michaels. Because to me, that's pretty much the same guy.
right.
But like
But he's got the,
Shawn Michaels with Diesel is different than Shawn Michaels with Triple H.
gotcha, I see what you're saying. Um, and yeah, okay, because I just have a lot of Shawn Michaels figures, but I have a DX one. I have those two ones, and then I have a Jax one that I bought from High Spots that was signed already. And I'm like, okay,
Oh,
that's
cool, cool, cool. Yeah.
the Jax and the WrestleMania 12 and the SummerSlam one. They're all pretty close in design, but it's like, well, one's one's SummerSlam and one's WrestleMania 12, and one's
Yeah.
a completely different, and they're all autographed. So it's like, okay, I can
And it
deal.
like and I'm telling you, man, I have these rules, but I also break them because like I have every Finn Balor elite that's been made because I loved him back when he was Prince Devitt. So I have
Right.
every one of his elites, and those demons are pretty similar. Like they did an ultimate Finn Balor that is just an elite of, or is just a figure of an elite they already made. So I have both those. So like even in what I'm saying my rules are, I've even broken them. Like Keith Lee, since they just got rid of him, I found his NXT Survivor Series figure, and I was actually at that show. So
That's
I
cool.
bought that. Yeah, I was like, I wanted that figure, and then I also bought the. But I also have his first elite. I didn't get the chase, the white and pink one, which is kind of a bummer. And I kind of went now just to complete the Keith Lee elite collection. But like it's very rare. I also have a very um big Randy Savage elite collection where I have like three figures that are basically the same thing.
Gotcha.
So it's very I'm very picky and choosy, but in general, like I only need one of each character. So there's a big Boss Man elite that's coming out in wave 90 or 91, and he's the chase, and one of them's in his WCW gear, and one is in his WWF gear, like his early WWF gear. And I'm on the fence if I should get just the early WWF or both of them because I don't have a WCW like Big Bubba Rogers, but I only have 1999 Big Boss Man. So I could justify getting all three of those because those are all three different looking Big Boss Men. I can
Right.
justify it that way. Because I'm not a big Hogan fan, but I have like 4 different Hogans in my collection, and I think I have one pre-ordered because I'm going to pre-order that 2002 Hogan that's in Wave 90 one, but I have like a very much 1980s Hogan. I have a 1990s WW or WCW Hogan kind of looking figure. I think it's actually supposed to be WrestleMania 10, but it looks more like the WCW time. And then I have a Hollywood Hogan, and I want to say I have another one, but I can't think of what it is. So like, if it's completely or if it's just different enough that I can tell the difference on it, I'll totally get it. They're doing Undisputed Champion Hogan with the really cool belt in a wave coming up, and I'm like, I'm gonna need that one because I also have my collection sorted by eras.
Right.
And I don't have a Hogan in that set, in that like Ruthless Aggression area yet, so I'm going to need one to put there. So that's really good addiction and mental illness for you right there, just to kind of figure out how I collect it. But like that's kind of my rule on it. And of course, there's always exceptions. Like there's some guys like I'll get every X-Pac Elite they make. It doesn't matter if it's. I even got the horrible 2002 NWO one where he's in the bikers because I wanted it because I have to have every one of his. I have a 1-2-3 kid. They're gonna do one coming up.
You mentioned that. I regret every day now knowing how much these go for on eBay. Not getting the 6 figure when I saw it at a Walmart.
I have 2 of them.
Fuck.
I have one. I have one signed and I have one opened. That's a fun story. I'm pretty sure I can tell this one really quick. So it's not like a Hastings story. It's still related. So Billy Hills.
The Hastings story was related. Don't let that misconstrue. The Hastings story was related.
Billy Hills is really like he is super kind to me. He finds figures for me all the time. He actually found the They Live Variety Piper Elite for me and gave it to me at the last show.
Yeah, I just bought that one from another guy that was at the show I just saw you at, and
oh really?
Yeah, I bought it at Anna Fight Underground. Let's go ahead and name it. I bought it from Mikey.
Oh, you bought it from Mikey?
Yeah.
See, Mikey, I've talked to Mikey about figures, and I hunt so much that like the people that usually find stuff and they're like, hey, I found this. I usually always find it. Billy Hills is the only one that beats me to everything. I don't get it, but he does. So he found like so anyway, this was that's now, but like even back a couple years ago, because that figure came out in 2018, the 6 did that we're talking about, which is it's him in his thug singlet. It's a super cool figure. I got one like I found him like right away because I was before like wrestling figures were really starting to blow up. So like I was on every board trying to figure out when stuff was dropping. I was getting like barcodes and hunting because I was like this, and then they said, "Hey, we're doing NWO 6," and I'm like, "I need that." So I found one, and then I think the next week I knew I was going to like. I had found out like the next week after I bought the first one that I was going to New Orleans for WrestleMania 34, and Jason Wells was had an extra ticket, so I bought it and I was going with him, and he said, "Yeah, we're going to WrestleCon the day before." And I said, "Is X-Pac going to be there?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think he's going to be there." So then I had to find a second one, and the school I teach at, the hometown there, had one, and I was like, "Oh, sweet! I'll just stop by Perryville." And well, there we go. I just dropped that. I'll stop by Perryville, grab that, and then I'll have one in box for him to sign. And I went to work the next day, and it was gone. So then Billy was like, "Hey, you still need that inbox 6?" And he found one like the day after I couldn't find it. So I have one inbox that's signed that I actually got him to sign. It was whenever I met X-Pac. So like that'll probably get buried with me. And then I have my loose one, which is there. It's such a cool figure, which is funny because it's just like the DX one, which is right next to it signed because my buddy bought it for me for Christmas like that year too. So I love those two. They're doing a new X-Pac. It's going to drop next year, but it's in the Target not Hall of Fame. What are they calling it? The Legends line. They're doing an X-Pac in camo pants and a DX shirt for the DX invasion of WCW.
Gotcha.
So I'll have to buy that too, because the cool thing is I bought the Triple H and the Billy Gunn. Triple H hasn't come out yet, but the Billy Gunn has like different gear under it. So you can take the cloth stuff off and then he's just in wrestling gear. I don't know what the X-Pac's going to be in yet. And I'm really excited to figure that out because I think that's going to be cool. But yeah, they're doing like all of DX from that because they just started making China action figures. So that's really cool. But yeah, the 6 is one of those that I can't tell you how much that figure's going for right now. And I don't want to know
It was
because like,
it was enough that when he was going to do a virtual signing and you could mail your stuff in, I'm like, well, hey, let me see if I got an X-Pac autographed promo. I got my story with X-Pac figures is I passed on the 6 because I'm like, I'm gonna get 1-2-3 Kid. I feel like that. For me personally, it was more like, that's just kind of be cooler to have 1-2-3 Kid. That was kind of what I think of the X-Pac. So sure, I'll get this and bought that one on Amazon, and that's what when I met X-Pac, what I had him sign. But I just lost my train of thought. I just
but the 6, that's
the
where
6,
you're at.
the
He
6.
was doing, yeah.
I forgot where we were going with you. We're talking about 6. I was completely lost. I want to talk about 1-2-3 Kid, but
Yeah, it was the price of the 6 because I like I said, I was like, I bought.
Okay, yes. Sorry about that, folks, but this is what
No,
happens when you talk. This is what happens when you geek out about figures. You lose your complete train of
yeah,
thought. I felt like, fuck yeah, I'll see what them. It was like 70, 80, 90 bucks, and I'm like, nope, I'm good.
I had no idea. I mean, it's not gonna change my mind. The DX Xbox signed, I might consider getting rid of because I didn't get that one signed. Like it, my friend bought it for me. My friend lives in Dallas, and like there's a bunch of toy stores that do a bunch of signings all the time. And he bought like so it's the normal X-Pac Elite, which came out like an Elite Wave 27, I think. I can't see the number, I'm in a dark room right now. But he got it signed, and it was whenever that figure was still relatively cheap. And it was like he was like, I dropped like $35 for it. But the 6, like that one was one I paid base price for it retail, and then it was like $80 to get into WrestleCon, and then I think it was $40 for an autograph and a picture. Which was like one of the few times that I've ever paid for a picture with a wrestler. But it was X-Pac, and that's my favorite of all time, so I had to do it. Asa Gray said it was the one time that he's ever seen me completely speechless, and it was hilarious. Because he was like, it was because I was like like a little puppy, like I was starstruck by him beating X-Pac because he was like my favorite of all time, and it was cool that I had that figure signed because I think he was looking at it and he started signing it. Because he was like, "What color do you want it in?" And I was like, "What colors do you have?" And he told me because he had green and red, and I think he had like a silver. And he was like, "Oh, we got to do this in red." So he did X-Pac, and then he looked at it and realized that it was not an X-Pac figure. So then I think he puts. Well, I don't fucking care. It was that the signature was not the important part, but like he put like I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. But he put 6 above it, and then like Wolfpack underneath it or above it or something like that. It's really cool. Like it's a really cool signature the way that he did it. And like even if he did mess up and didn't mean to put X-Pac, I'm super happy that he did because it makes like it's a really cool looking signature altogether.
Yeah.
But like I saw him and then I saw him like make a face, and I was like, I mean, you know how to spell your own name, and even if you misspell it, I'm never selling this fucking thing, so like I don't care. But yeah, that's because like, and so on my wall that I'm looking at to my left, there's 3 figures. 2 of them are mine, and one of them was my girlfriend's. Because, and this is another like wrestler gave somebody a face. I have 2 Xbox, and then I have the Zack Ryder retro figure signed, and
Nice.
that's my girlfriend's figure because she's a big Zack Ryder fan, and we went to go see them in Chicago when they were doing live podcasts there.
Was that the one
And
where
she,
Nick Gage interrupted it?
no, that was COVID. This was Survivor Series 2019.
Okay.
So this was there was nothing big. I mean, they were WWE at that point. They hadn't been released.
Gotcha.
So like they didn't do cool stuff like that as much because like they weren't allowed to like really promote indie stuff as much. The guy that Zack Ryder tore the tights off of showed up and stole the belt from him, which is funny because that guy Rory Fox, he wrestles as Gil Rogers in this area, and I didn't realize that was a thing. But I was like, I've seen that guy wrestle before. But Sadie got him to sign it, and she was like, my name's Sadie, and he like did S, and he was like, I'm gonna need you to spell that all out for me because I'm not messing that name up. Which is funny because I thought Sadie was a relatively easy name to spell.
Yeah.
Because like my X Pac isn't personalized. If he would have asked me, I would have asked him to do it, but it's not personalized at all.
Right.
But yeah, no, those are I don't do you do a lot of signed figures, and I think those are cool. But I'm so much into opening everything that like I just can't do signed figures. Every figure I have signed, I have a loose of.
But
So like my X Pac I have a double, my six I have a double. I have a bunch of those Rider retros. I think I even have a Rider retro that he signed, like the actual figure. That's also Sadie's.
nice.
I have like three of those things, but yeah.
Going back to the thought ruining 1 2 3 kid figure that almost derailed the
Oh
entire
yeah.
show. So I bought that from Amazon with the express thought of, okay, I'm taking this to Starcast for this eat and greet with X Pac, and this is what I'm going to have him sign. And it was like a month beforehand. I'm like, oh, I'll order it now so I know it gets in time, and this, that, and the other. And the first one I got, like, the package was just destroyed.
Ooh.
So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send it back and get a different one. And like, I was trying to get customer service to see like if that's a thing that you can do, and I was trying really hard not to Karen, but whatever. I couldn't get any good customer service on the live chat, so I just called. I'm like, hey, I'm buying this. I collect. I need a better. I need a not destroyed
Yeah.
package, and
Because
they're like, well, if you say it's damaged, just keep it. We'll send you another one, and they did, and the package was good, so I got essentially a loose 1 2 3 kid that I now have on my shelf, and then I got the one that I
nice.
was able to save and have him sign whenever I did the eat and greet with him at the first Starcast.
Yeah, I have horror stories about Amazon and like action figure package handling.
Ringside Collectibles, I know they're like our saviors as wrestling figure collectors, but my wave one of AEW were all destroyed, all of them.
Man, it's those boxes. Those are rough boxes, man. They're
I
beautiful boxes. They look great,
I
but
was
they are
fortunate enough that
rough.
I had a hookup at Walmart who worked at Walmart's like, we just got them and I can buy these now. I'm like, you the man. Well, for those that follow the channel, Jedi, he was the one that came in close. He's like, yeah, just yeah, get those. And I
I
did.
didn't know if it was a fellow wrestler buddy of mine that because he's also a Walmart guy because he's also found figures for me before, so I didn't know if it was him or not.
No, it's my wrestling buddy, but not that wrestling buddy.
Oh no, that's not my wrestling buddy either. It's a different wrestling buddy. It's not him. No, it's not that one. But yeah, no, I because like I'm the deranged since I open everything. I will get really lazy and I won't pre-order figures right away. I'll wait for the first pre-orders to get sent out because if you check it perfectly, if you're really good about it, because I've gotten figures way before my friends that pre-ordered and got like on the back order list and then had to wait like 2 more months. I'll wait for the first pre-orders to go out and I'll give it like a day or two because there's always a good like 10, 20 of each figure that get damaged and they can't ship them out that way. So they'll sell them as damaged packaging. And I do that all the time because like sometimes you'll pay a little bit more for damage, sometimes you won't, depending on how rare the figure is. But like I got the TNT Cody for like $1 more than what I would have back ordered, but I didn't have to wait 2 more months to get it. Like I ordered it and got it in 3 more days because it was damaged packaging, and I'm like, I'm opening it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, I do that a lot. I don't think I've ever ordered from Ringside and had a bad packaging that I didn't pay for a bad packaging. I've had some Ringside orders that I've ordered damaged packaging with packaging that was damn near mint with like one little crease.
Right.
So like it's really weird because like I've also seen people like get like what you said where you order from Ringside and the packages are just fucked. And it could have just been because it was that AEW first wave and they were like, you're gonna get what you get on that. Which isn't a good way to do business, but I get it because those figures were, I mean, that was Beanie Baby Mania right there.
Yeah.
Me and uh, Red Daniels didn't pre-order them, and he asked me because it was during summer break, so I had time. He was just like, "Can you go to Walmart's and check?" So like that first week, he actually got his AEW figures before I did, and I bought mine through Ringside. But he got his first because I was like crackhead checking every Walmart in my area and finally found everything. And his packages were meant.
You found Brandy on the shelf.
I didn't find Brandy.
Okay.
That was the only one I didn't find because I don't think he wanted Brandy. I'm putting words in his mouth, but I don't think he wanted it. Or I told him like I found everything but Brandy. I think there was a caveat one way or the other where I was like, hey, I found everything but this one, or he didn't want that one, so it didn't matter. But no, Brandy's the only one AEW that I have not found on shelf. I've literally found everything else.
You might have mentioned that earlier, but I just was thinking you found Brandy.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, I've only met one person that's found Brandy on shelf, which is real weird. Like one person that was actually like, yeah, I found this at Walmart in like Troy, Missouri, and I'm like, what the hell? Like that's not how that's been at all. But yeah, no, those AEW figures are they're really cool. Right now, I'm kind of at an impasse with them because I got the Chase Nyla Rose. I got it through Ringside.
Nice.
I think I ordered her, Archer, and then FTR, and they sent me the Chase. And I told myself I was going to open it, and I still haven't opened it yet. I've opened everything else, but I haven't opened that one.
Don't open that.
So I'm like,
don't. I implore you not to do that.
But like, so
buy another Nyla and open that one up. Do not open this one.
Because how should I explain? I mean, I open everything unless it's signed X-Pac figure, but I got it and I was like, it would be a really cool flex on all of my friends that buy these figures to have an open Chase. Because I have a few friends that have Chases and they haven't opened them. And I'm like, it would be really funny to have it open. But then I think about it and I'm like, man, there's a good chance I can meet Nyla at a signing and have her sign this. Because like right now, I think it's like 100. I could probably sell it right now pretty easily for 150.
Yeah.
And I paid like 30 for it. And it's like, man, it's a really good return on my investment. But I could open it and then flex on my friends, or I can have it signed and then it becomes like a $300 figure. And I'm not really big into like reselling like in-box new figures, but like I've done it every once in a while. I've done it a few times, but like this is the one where I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. Cause all of a sudden it's like now I have to buy a new Nyla Rose because like I need her in my collection. Right. But do I open the Chase? And it's a really weird middle ground because like I also really like the color orange, and that Chase is really cool. Like there's been 3 AEW Chases that I think have really been cool, and this Nyla is one of them because they did that one, the Jake Hager in the camo shorts and the Appetite for Destruction Inner Circle shirt. And then they did Moxley with the eye patch in Wave 5. Those are the 3 coolest Chases they've made. And I'm like, it's a shame that I can't open it because I feel bad. If I got that Moxley or that Hager, I would. My buddy Asa Gray, the commentator at CCW, he has the Chase Hager.
Nice.
That's super sweet. He told me he opened his Ringside because I texted him that day. I knew his package was coming, and he told me, and I was like, "You probably have a Chase in your box, so let me know what it looks like." And he was like, "How do you know that?" And I was like, "I can just sense it." And he opened it, and he was like, "You literally knew that? Like I didn't. And there's no way to know." They like when Ringside sends them to you. What Ringside will do is they'll like if they get a Chase, they will put it in a clamshell protector, and then they just throw it in your box. Which is how I got mine. So like my Chase Nyla is like in perfect condition in a protector. But I tried buying it off of him right away. I lowballed him. I think I offered him 150, and he was like, "It's worth more than that. Good try." And I was like, "Oh, you're smart. You're a smart person." Because I just wanted to open that Jake Hager because it was super cool.
Right.
But yeah, those AEW figures, man, they are insane. I like the way they look for the most part. There's a couple of duds. And there's a couple of choices that they've made. Like we haven't gotten Christopher Daniels or Marco Stunt, but we got the other guys in their respective groups. That's a bummer. Plus, like I'm kind of buddies with Marco, so like I want that figure really bad. Like right. I like having figures of people I've like worked with. So that would be a really cool one to get. That was something I was doing for a while and then gave up on once I realized CCW gets people all the time. Trying to find some of those figures are insane. Like I was trying to find a Scott Steiner Jax figure from WWE, and they were like expensive because it would have matched the Rick because I wrestled on a show with those two before.
Right.
And I have a Rick, but I like finding a Scott that would have matched it was like stupid. It doesn't even exist. I would just want one of the same like body of figure, and like just getting that was insane. But like there's a couple like if I've been on a show with somebody, I'll buy like an older figure just for the fun of it. Um, but yeah, like AEW's made it fun because like I've been on shows with SCU and stuff like that. So like I like having those figures of guys that like I've met.
You mentioned the duds. It's funny you mentioned that because I agree. But which ones are the figures that have come from AEW that you're just kind of like, um,
All of Wave One with the wrong skin tones.
fair.
It's a cool piece to have if you have all of them, and I do. Um, half of every Young Bucks they've made because I don't like the Matt Jackson with the yelling face. That's an ugly figure both time they made it. And then the Nick with the long like his hair down with the bandana that they did in Wave 1 and Wave 7. I hate that figure. I don't mind his Elite, the blue, white, and gold. I think it was from Wave 3. I like that Nick Jackson a lot. And the cool thing about the AEW figures is the way that they pop apart. You can customize them really quick. So I have the Young Bucks that I like where I just had to buy like a 1B of Matt Jackson and I just torso swapped it with the Wave 3 figure. And I'm like, perfect. I have the Bucks I want. I might end up buying Wave 7 with the black and the like Lakers gear and then just torso swap both those. And then I'll be like, cool. Now I'm happy again with my Young Bucks figures because I'm insane because I'm a crazy person.
You're not crazy. You're a collector.
Yeah. The Pac is cool, but I feel like they could have done a better job with it. And then a lot of people are saying FTR kind of duds, but I don't mind those as much. I think they knock a lot more out of the park than they don't. But it's not like WWE with even like when they have figures that I don't like, they're still good figures. Like WWE Elites are kind of like next level where even their duds are pretty cool. That's the wave I get into the most. It's been around a lot longer. Elites have been around for like 12 years, but like their new stuff since they started real scan technology and the faces look a lot more realistic. Like, man, those figures are real fun to collect. And that's what's making me like swap out stuff in my collections and like head swap stuff because I'm really big into doing that. But like Elites, like they have 2 waves coming up where I'm probably gonna have to buy both, like the whole wave both times. And that's a real big wallet hit every time that happens. I'm like, I like a wave that I only have to buy 1 figure. And that's starting to happen with AEW. Wave 7, I only had to buy 4 of them. But
Right.
like whenever WWE puts out a banger wave where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need all of those. Like, oh, you mean you gave me Dominic and Damian Priest in the same wave? That sucks. Because like I'm gonna need both those. Because yeah, like I do those. I have some Marvel Legends that I also collect, but like the wrestling ones is the one.
I was wanting to get into that. So Marvel Legends is probably another big figure. You said you do collect them? So it's not all wrestling figures. What are some of your favorite Marvel Legends and stories attached to Marvel Legends?
I need to send you that collection too. I only sent you the wrestling stuff. Because that room that I sent you, whenever you guys look at the cover photo of like this podcast, what I sent him was a sample of an entire room I've dedicated to action figures. That was just one wall. My girlfriend Sadie has like an amazing pop wall next to it. Have I sent that to you?
Yeah, send me the pop wall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my girlfriend's. That's like insane. Like we don't even have like you can't even see a wall on one side of the room because of her, because she like keeps them all in box. It looks awesome. Anytime I have college homework where I have to like do a video, I do it in front of that wall because I think it's funny. Because like we're all like these high level teachers that are like take everything super seriously, and then I have toys behind me, and it is like almost looks like wallpaper. But I have my wrestling on one side, and then I have my Marvel Legends on the other. My Marvel Legends, I have like 2 miscellaneous like Marvel Universe shelves, which is just kind of a catch-all. I have Avengers and stuff like that. My girlfriend has a MCU shelf, and then my 2 like Pride and Joy shelves. I have an X-Men shelf, and then a Spider-Man shelf, and those 2 are the ones that like I take the most pleasure in collecting. Those 2 comic book series of Marvel Legends. I think they make the best figures for X-Men and Spider-Man when they do Legends. Those are my two baby collections, but I also had to start doing the wrestling rule where I don't need 10 Cyclopses. Not that I had that many, but man, I had a lot of
Yeah.
Cyclopses at one point.
Hey, nobody needs any Cyclops figures. Let's just be honest.
You get the hell out of here with that. He's amazing, all right?
Oh.
Cyclops is the best.
That's what I read.
All right, wait a minute. All right, all right. We're gonna get out of action figures for 1 second. Go into comic books. If you had a deal, if you were the leader of a team built by a bald cosmic mind reader man who can pretty much do whatever he wants to you at all times, and your number one job is to be the leader of a bunch of assholes with superpowers, some cooler than your own, some more powerful than your own, but bald mystery man is expecting you to keep them all in line, you would be an asshole too. I'm gonna say it. You would probably be a dick about some things, and you probably would seem whiny to some people. But whenever you have Xavier, who is literally just like mind controlling how much of your power you can use at all time, Jean Grey, like I also would be a dick to everybody, like because I don't want him doing that to me. Like Cyclops was always in a bad position, and you had fuzzy Canadian 5'2" boy trying to be like in on your girl all the time. I also would hate everything and be a dickhead.
Well, maybe if he actually like wasn't such a stick in the mud, and he could satisfy his girl a little bit better.
He had to be the figurehead of mutants. I don't want to know what that's like. I felt bad for him. Also, he had a cool power. He had zoom zooms come out of his eyes. That's pretty cool.
I will admit, I really did enjoy playing as him in like X-Men Legends and the X-Men Mutant Apocalypse game. Like I enjoyed his power, but still, it's like when I had to I felt so dirty. It's like, okay, I got to get everybody's ending on X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. I'm like, oh, I got this Cyclops.
You're gonna play Cyclops.
That's the last fucking one I need to get.
I think X-Men's one of those waves where I really don't have or comics where I don't really have a least favorite character in the team, like in the main team. Like, yes, we can all agree that Skin and Morph are worthless. But like in the main, like when you think X-Men, like I don't think I have a least favorite one. My favorite one's Iceman. And anytime they make an Iceman figure, I have to get it. But
mine's Wolverine, Rogue, Gambit, and Beast and Nightcrawler. They're all like tied. Maybe a slight edge to Wolverine and Gambit, just because I thought they were cool as a kid.
Man, Gambit's cool. It's a very useless power when you think about it, but they made him look so cool that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I had this argument with Asa a lot about how I think because Gambit's his favorite X-Men, and I was like, yeah, it's a shame that he's kind of lame, and then we get in an argument over it. And I'm like, dude, he puts power into things and then throws it. That's pretty lame. Like, he's super douchey because he chooses a pack of cards. He could be throwing bigger things and being a lot more dangerous, but he chooses cards. Like, come on. But like Iceman's cool.
He did a piece of gum once and like uses like kind of like a plastic explosive, and that was pretty bad.
See, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. He could be way cooler. He very much limits himself. But like Iceman's cool. He just turns stuff cold. That's like the Flash's greatest villain. Like that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two waves of and like I've always loved Spider-Man. Like that was also a figure. I had a bunch of Spider-Man figures as a kid. But those two are like those Marvel Legends, I think, are the one things that send me back to my childhood more than anything. Because like nerdy things weren't something that were really like wrestling was always there because my dad was a fan of it, but like my mom bought me boy toys. Like if it was something that was for a boy, I usually had it. So like I had all the comic book stuff and I would watch the cartoons, but it was never like really fostered in my house. So it was like a very much a me thing. Like Dalton was the one that liked Spider-Man because nobody else in the house liked nerdy shit.
Right. So
like I fell in love with the comic book stuff because of that. Because I was the only person in my family that really was into it. So like I got into it a whole lot. So like these X-Men Legends are like the one toy that I'm like, yeah, this reminds me of my childhood a little bit, especially Spider-Man stuff. I didn't really have a lot of X-Men toys, but I had a ton of Spider-Man shit. So like anytime like Marvel Legends, and they've been doing it more and more in the last couple of years, they come out with just random ass Spider-Man stuff. I'm like, yeah, I need that. You have Peter Parker. It's the Peter Parker in the retro wave is like the lamest action figure I've ever bought. But I was like, I need to get it because it's Spider-Man. But yeah, the Marvel Legends are really cool
That was
figures.
kind of me with trying to assemble the Apocalypse. Like, I gotta have this useless gladiator figure because it's got the torso for fucking Apocalypse.
Sold it. I sold that fucking toy. I was like, I don't need a gladiator. I do that a lot with Marvel Legends figures, where I'm like, all
I
right,
can't.
cool. Or I'll,
I can't
I'll,
sell it. It's like, you have the BAF. I'm like, no, I don't have the BAF. Well, what good is it? Like, you're absolutely right, but just give me some money because I don't want it.
I'll give like a year. I'll do collecting for a year, and then I'll put all the figures that I don't want anymore, and then I'll go up to St. Louis to Saga Toys or Time Warp because they always take in toys. Because even, and this is the weirdest thing with Marvel Legends, even though you don't want that gladiator figure, somebody wants that gladiator figure. So
True.
I'll give it to a store that'll resell it for like 20 or like $15 loose. If they want to give me $8.50 for it or however much they give me, more fucking power to you. Because I will buy a $25 toy and spend eight less dollars than I was going to.
If you're taking it to a store, it's a lot easier to flip something like that. Whereas on eBay, it's like, I'll give you $8. Well, once you shipped it, and
Oh yeah,
somebody
it's
from
not worth
fucking
it.
California bought that, so shipping's gonna be double. And it's
Yeah,
like, oh hey, I made $2.
yeah.
Ooh,
Uh, but like, oh man, Marvel Legends recently. There's the guy that ran the toy store in Cape that we used to have, Time Bomb. I saw him and we were talking. So I'd always buy my Legends through him, and I was like, man, the last like four waves of Legends have really like bent me over a barrel with how bad like I've had to buy each of them for the build a figures. Because like my girlfriend collects all the MCU stuff. They did two MCU waves. They did the What If wave, and then they did the Disney Plus wave. And we love those shows, so I had to get all of those. The What If wave's awesome. The Watcher build a figure's sweet. And then they did Age of Apocalypse. They did wave two of that, and I love like shitty 90 comic book, like 1990s comic book stuff.
right.
Especially like shitty comic book designs from the 1990s. And you don't get shittier comic bookier designs from the 1990s
Then Age of
anymore.
Apocalypse.
From oh god, they look so horrible.
They really need a Rob Liefeld ridiculous chess Captain America figure. I would buy that immediately, and it's
Right?
garbage. But
Because I have the Cable. Because I also love Cable. I love a
I
lot
like
of the X-Men,
Cable.
but like the first Age of Apocalypse I didn't like because I was like, it's an okay wave. I ended up selling half of the figures that I didn't want. But I wanted Sugar Man, so like I found all of them at Target. I think I got them all for like $7.50 a piece, which is like a Marvel Legends like $20, and you have to buy like seven of them to get the build a figure. But I didn't have to. I ended up spending like maybe 80 and got the build a figure, which is a great deal. And then I sold half the figures, and then a year later they're like, "Hey, we're doing Age of Apocalypse 2." And I was like, "Oh, I don't like that at all." And then they announced the figures, which was like the actual X-Men team this time. And I was like, "Oh, I don't like that at all." So I had to buy that whole wave, which was like 7, 8 figures. Made the Colossus, which Colossus is like my second favorite X-Men. And that Age of Apocalypse is like super cool because he has the bandana, like the ninja bandana, and he has like the cool shit on his chest. Um, and then I liked all of the Age of Apocalypse figures so much as I had to go back and buy all the ones I sold to like get all of the Age of Apocalypse figures. So now I have all of those again. So I've like had to rebuy figures that I've gotten rid of because they screwed me down the line.
Right.
And that's mental illness for you, Eli. There it is. There it is. I wrapped it up right there. That's a sickness. That is clinically something's wrong with me. We don't know what it is yet. I haven't tried to get it checked out, but like there's a screw loose somewhere.
Oh, that's
Um, I'm
yeah.
gonna blame Brandon Barbed Wire for something I did in traiing. I'm assuming like I'm gonna put it on him. It's Barbed Wire's fault for what he did to me.
um,
He dropped me at least once.
if you're gonna be addicted to something, this isn't too bad.
Oh no, it's so much fun, and like it's really
But
fun.
I will concede it's becoming like, as far as like collectibles for me, it's like not just figures but everything. I'm like, I'm running out of wall space. I'm beginning to have a problem. Like, I'm gonna have to stop.
It's taken over our whole house, which is awesome. Because like, and this is I love the collecting thing because I found a girlfriend that was into collecting before she met me. So we're both in on this horrible illness. It's fun. Our whole house is collectibles everywhere. Like even in our living room, we have like a table full of Dragon Ball Z pops, and that table's full. So it like has gone into our like entertainment system. But like it's fun because like we don't have kids, we just have cats. Which yeah, that makes it kind of difficult sometimes because they
Yeah,
knock shit over.
that's why I can't be
But
a cat person.
yeah, I like them. I like them both though. I can't get rid of the collectibles and I can't get rid of the cats, so like I'm kind of just SOL. But like it's a lot of fun. Like we don't have kids, so like we just fill our house full of shit that we like. So it's just a bunch of action figures everywhere. Um, and like it's fun. Like we get into it. We go toy hunting together. Like on my birthday, I said, "Hey, let's just go to St. Louis," and we bought like a bunch of cool shit. And we'll do that a couple times during the summer too, whenever I'm on
That's what
summer
I did
break.
on. That's what I did on my birthday. I
Yeah.
went to secret headquarters in Evansville and bought a classic LJN Classy Freddy Blassie, and I bought actually a figure from a They Live line of They Live
Ooh,
figures.
is it
Yes,
the NECA?
yes, I think so. I'll send you a picture. I just bought it because it's They Live, and I'm like, that's cool.
Is it the Piper from that?
Yes,
So I saw that figure and I thought about it and I was like, nah, I don't need it. I don't think like I don't really have like I have like the some of the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff because again I like to buy things that remind me of my childhood. And I saw that Piper and I was like, that'd be cool. And I have a couple of NECA figures, but like I don't have any room for that and it does not fit in my collection anywhere. And then not a year later, WWE's like, hey, we're doing a Hollywood line, and guess what? They Live Piper. Um, so I was like, yeah, I need it. There it is. They gave me an excuse to buy it.
I couldn't find it
Um,
anywhere, so I paid Mikey's price for it, and when Mikey told me the price, I did. Mikey, if you listen to this, I trust you, but I also got to make sure that I got to do what's best for me. I double checked Mikey, and he was giving me a fair deal. So
Oh yeah, no. Anytime I don't think I've ever bought anything from Mikey, but I've asked him before, and he's told me, and I'm like, no, that's pretty much that's the going rate. Like I have a lot of, but like I've been doing this toy thing for like oh fuck, almost 10 years. But I've been doing this for so long that like I have people up in Kansas City looking for me at all time. I have a connection in Dallas. I have a guy in Canada that I can buy stuff from. I don't go to him a whole lot because like even if I get it at retail, I'm still going to get screwed on the shipping. So
right,
I don't ask my buddy up in Canada too much to find stuff. But like I've gotten to the point now to where if I don't, it's very rare that I pay more than retail for a new figure because
fair.
I have like no less than 10 people looking at all times for me for things that I need. But if like at CCW we have Patrick who does F&M memorabilia.
Right.
Patrick's got me. He's got me a couple times on some good figures. I've had to pay the second the secondary market price, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you can't find it, go ahead. Just always make sure you're getting a good deal on it.
Right.
But yeah, no. Anytime I've ever asked Mikey, he's always been more than fair on
Oh
his
yeah.
prices.
And he was fair on the Piper. I just remember like, well, let me make sure that's not like I can get this on eBay for retail still. It's like, nope, okay,
Yeah,
Mike's giving me a good deal.
they short packed those. I think, or they just
Oh,
haven't
I
really
know they
hit as
did.
much as.
I know they
Yeah,
did.
well,
Because
because they
that's
have
the
to get
one
those
everybody
rock.
wanted. Everybody
Yeah,
wants the Piper one more than fucking the Cena bullshit.
the the rocker Cena. in in street clothes. That's all it is. And like, yes, the Piper is also in street clothes, but I think the most iconic, if you're gonna be like, what's the more iconic like movie role in movie history? Anything from Fast and Furious or Hobbs and Shaw or whatever the bullshit is, or They Live, and I'm gonna be like, no, I will die thinking about Piper in that outfit. Like that's a very iconic movie. Whereas like the Fast and Furious stuff's just like that's shit they've been doing forever, or not
Right.
forever, but like they have no pun intended driven that shit into the ground. So
Yes.
those figures are kind of bland. Um, but yeah, no, they got me on that Piper because I was like, nah, I need that. That's a cool figure. And the NECA was sweet. I almost got it, and then I was like, nah, I don't need it. And then they were like, we're doing an elite of it, and I was like, I waited perfectly for it.
It was this was just very recently. It was the very first pop figure I ever, or not the very first, but it's a rare pop because I'm not. No offense to your girlfriend, I'm not the biggest pop guy.
Oh, I collect them too. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't get it. I really don't get it. Like
I'm very happy that you don't get it because man, it's rough because they make everything, and if you're already a fan, like here's how Funko Pops work. I'm gonna let you know. One of my favorite movie series of all times are the Mighty Ducks.
right.
And they never make Mighty Duck shit ever. ever. Even after Game Changers, they still don't make Mighty Ducks shit. This summer, they said, hey, we're doing the Mighty Ducks. Funko immediately got like $80 out of me without thinking, without even thinking. It was just like, oh, you're doing those guys? Yeah, here you go. Here's money. Have it. It's all you. I wish I didn't get Funko Pops. I wish that was just something that went well over my head.
Yeah, it's just not a. I just don't. I don't understand what the big deal is. Like it's
They're little. They're little. They're clean. They're clean. They're like you take them out of the box. There's no posing. You just put them down, and they're good. And then they make everything. That's my workplace, like my classroom. I have on my shelves, on top of all my instrument shelves, I just have a bunch of my favorite Funkos. They're just sitting up there, so my kids look at them, or my students. Because they're nice. They're little. Like if they break, it was only $10. Hopefully,
right.
secondhand retail, like even loose. Some of them loose still go for a whole lot. I sold a loose Funko a year ago for $210. Just because it was a rare one. CM Punk in the Bret Hart gear.
The only Funkos I've bought for myself, and I say this, like I don't get Funkos, but like I've gotten Funkos as gifts, so like there's some Funkos around. Like I don't like hate them, but it's just one of those things like, oh my god, Funkos. I'm like,
yeah.
Save me for the Elites and the AEWs and the Legends and the DC Multiverse. Like just, I'm there. That's my.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Funkos, I bought the Young Bucks for myself because I'm just like, yeah, it's cool seeing this. And then I eventually flipped it. Whenever they had their own action figures, it's like, oh hey, I don't have to have these big-eyed shit things anymore. I can give a real Young Bucks. And
I recently sold mine because Sadie still had them in box. So I'm like, oh, they're in our collection anyway.
But one of the first times, just very recently, that I've bought, and my girlfriend pointed out to me, and I'm like, well, I usually don't buy Funkos, but I kind of gotta buy this one. Was they had a John Nada, and now I have the John Nada Funko, the They Live. What was that? I'm failing as a figure collector, but what was that, Mecha or
NECA, NECK.
Yeah.
Or yeah, NECA, not KA.
Yeah, I'm definitely not as deep as you are with the figures. And then I have the WWE Elite one. I'm like, okay, so I have like all the John Nada that anybody could ever want from collecting. So Funko got me there.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that that's you, because like I can't even count the amount of Funko that I'm seeing in front of me right now, and I'm not in the figure room. Like I'm in my living room, and I'm like, yeah, I can't count how many are just in front of me right now. I have 71 in my classroom. I know that because my students have told me. They've counted, and I'm like, I would really appreciate it if you didn't do that. Because then I have to think about it, like how much, like, because then they're like, and then like little kids are like, how much does all that cost? And I'm like, shut up, because I don't want to even try to say that out loud. But yeah, no, like it's action figure crack, because like I can buy 4 Funkos I can go to Target right now, buy 4 Funkos and spend like maybe $40, and that's 4 of them. Like if I buy 4 Elites, I'm dropping $80. If it gets any more than that, it's over $100. Like you have to buy a lot of Funkos in one sitting to spend a lot of money. If you're buying them retail, if you are, but you do that every time you go to the store. Like anytime I go to GameStop, there's usually a Funko that I need. Like I was at Murray, Kentucky for a work trip, and they had Moe's from The Office, and I didn't even know they made a Moe's from The Office. And I'm like, yeah, I need that. And it was like, oh, it's a whatever the hell Comic-Con exclusive Funko. So it was like 15 instead of 10. And I'm like, nope, they're still going to get my money because I don't have Moe's from The Office yet. Like that's how they get you. It's really like really weird odds and ends and shit that you're like, oh yeah, I need that.
That's figures for me. I mean, it's like I said, I'm not bashing anybody that's big into the Funkos, but you're not gonna see me go crazy about the Funkos. That's just not.
Yeah.
To me, I'd rather 4 Funkos costing $40. That's worth that's worth one mini statue of something, or a couple of elites or a couple AEWs. So that's just my ratio. But again, the people that run Funko make more money than me. So what the fuck do I
Oh,
know?
yeah. Oh man, they make so much money. They have so many. They have so many stores of just Funkos that I will eventually get to go. I'm going to one of them eventually. I don't know when. I haven't planned it, but it will happen at least once.
I did.
So I can just go see it.
I did get a Funko Becky Lynch for Christmas a couple years ago, and I did say like, well, if I ever meet Becky Lynch, that's when I'm gonna have her autograph because it was a gift. Um,
That's that's my girlfriend's favorite. So I bought one for me and one for her. And then I'm like, oh, I'm putting this in my room because like I like to have a lot of diversity in my action figure collection. So any student that comes in my room, no matter gender, race, whatever, they will see something that they can identify with.
that's cool.
And yeah, because I try to be cool. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna put Becky Lynch in there because like that's fucking female empowerment right there. Hell yeah. And then she was like, yeah, but like we don't have any loose Beckys, so like we're gonna keep this in the house. And I was like, ah, damn it. And then I found a Captain Marvel. I'm like, that's almost the exact same thing in my mind. We're putting her up there.
Becky's cooler than
Uh,
Captain Marvel.
she is. I agree 100%. And I'm willing to say Sadie will concede that point, but she got to keep her Becky in the house, so she's
Yeah.
happy.
But last question, because like we could go on for 4 hours about this.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the thing. We just started this friendship a couple months ago, and we
Yeah.
haven't got to talk a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it's like almost meeting. Like it's not like meeting you again, but it's like, oh, we can like really like get in the weeds with the shit
Yeah,
that we like.
I don't have like a rigorous like. So how is wrestling? So
Yeah.
how is balance and so what did this feel like? So what was this match
Yeah.
like? So Glacier, tell me about him.
Sweetest guy, sweetest fucking guy ever. Him and Nick Gage, sweethearts.
And I remember I felt bad because I'm like, I don't like Nick Gage. I am not a Nick
No.
Gage fan in the slightest.
It was just funny. It was like it's really weird that the nice people I've met, he's one of them. Because you wouldn't think it, but yeah. Anyway, no, sorry. Last question. My bad.
Oh, his last thing is so I know for me personally collecting figures. You mentioned you had ones as a kid. One of my favorite things has been to things I know I had going back, and whether they're loose or whether they're still in the package. Hopefully still in the package because now I'm like, oh hey, I had this as a kid and I can go get it autographed by Diamond Dallas Page or Lex Luger or Kevin Nash or Goldberg or Scott Steiner, people who I normally wouldn't be meeting, but I can go get this figure I had in 1999 signed by them. Have you been trying to go find things that you once had and go like, let me see what I can get that just to have it as like, yeah, that was mine, or is it kind of in the now new shit?
Mainly in the now. There's very few things that like I have looked at. Like from my childhood that I'm like, yeah, I need that. Like there's a couple that I will look at. I got a bundle of action figures from a friend that was just getting rid of stuff, and he had an Owen Hart bone cruncher. And this was like a year and a half ago. So I was like, I don't like having retro things, but I was like, I want that Owen Hart figure. I think they had just started making the shirts. So I was like, yeah, I need that. I want to keep that in my collection. So I have an Owen Hart bone cruncher. I have like a small little collection of Hasbro's, but I never had those as a kid. I definitely had that Owen, but I didn't have Hasbro's, but I have that. But like, there's one set that I've found on Mercari a couple times. It's just kind of expensive for what it is, but it's really random. It's very specific, and there's a small story tied to it. And I promise this is the last story.
Oh, that's fine.
But
I could go on for a long time, but I also know there's probably gonna be a couple people going, "All right,
yeah,
your collection is cool. Shut up."
I will eventually pull the trigger on this, mainly because also like the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, Matt Cardona just opened up this exact set like in his like weekly Let 'em Breathe segment. Like it's the exact thing he opened up today. But it was from like 99, 99 or 2000. So I was a little kid when it came out, but it was Sunday Night Heat 2-pack, and it was Triple H and The Rock in the IC match from SummerSlam 98.
Nice.
Which is like one of the coolest SummerSlam or one of the coolest ladder matches of all time that wasn't super spot festy. Like it was a great match that just happened to have a ladder in it.
Right.
And so this was like 90. I want to say this was like 99, 2000. So I was between like 7 and 8. So like I'm still a little kid. Like I'm still like first, second grade. And like this is that time in small town Missouri. So my mom would go to Walmart for like groceries and stuff, and she would do what all of our parents did at that time is we'll go to the toy section and I'll come get you whenever I'm done. And I did that, and I would always go look at the wrestlers, but like I didn't like other toys as much. Like I didn't go there for the other toys. I would go there to look at the wrestlers because everything else I would just kind of end up just like lucking into because of my aunts and uncles. And
Right.
so like I'm looking at the wrestling figures and I'm looking at the bikes, and like after a while, it feels like my mom had been gone for a really long time. So my stupid child brain was like, I'm gonna go look for mom at this Walmart. And like Walmart's the biggest place in the world when you're a kid because like
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm from Perryville. There's not shit in Perryville, especially back then. So like I try looking for my mom where she would usually be at when getting groceries and she wasn't there. So I thought she left me. So I flip out. I'm a child. I start crying. I go to the customer service and I'm like, didn't even, this is like, I was that age where you didn't know your mom actually still had a first name. Like she was just always mom. So I couldn't tell her my mom's name. I couldn't tell them my mom's name. I had to tell them my name. Mom shows up, I'm fucking bawling, crying, and she like felt so bad that she was like, well, let's go get you an action figure. And I was not trying to be a little shit, Eli. Like I need you to know that yes, I was that kid, but I was not being that kid this time.
Fair.
She bought me this 2-pack, and it was like the coolest thing ever. I don't have any toys from my childhood. That's one thing that like if I find at a toy like show, I'm gonna buy. Like I told Sadie that I'm like I want this set, but for some reason I want to find it in person before I try to buy it online. But that's the only thing. It's a cool set. I found a couple of them, and it's not bad. I think it's like $50, $70 for it, which like my childhood shouldn't have a price tag on it, but that kind of does. Where I'm like, it's a little high. But yeah, that's like the one thing. Like, and it's not even an Xbox thing, but that's like the one. Like, that's the one toy I very much remember the story on how I got it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed this. I could do this every week. I could talk. I could talk figures, but I don't know how many people want to hear us talk about figures. So
If there's ever a full action figure wave that you want to go, like you're like, I kind of want that whole set. We'll do a review of it. Just holler at me. We
we'll
can
do
do a
that.
review of it. Yeah. Like I have time. I'll do it.
And I want to pass this along to the listeners. Tell us about your action figures in the comments section. Like this isn't just gonna be the geek and Dalton uh, loving their action figure collection hour and a half. This is going like tell us about yours. Share your stories about figures, and let them be heard. And uh, yeah, that is this one. And yeah, we will definitely be doing reviews of figures here in the not too distant future.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm down. I'll do it. That sounds lovely.
I know Dalton. This usually I don't like to date these, but I do know when this one's coming out, and I believe you got a couple wrestling shows here in the next few weeks. Speaking of,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead. This is coming out on. This is the first time I've ever really done this, but this will be coming out on December the 8th. So I believe there's a wrestling show that you're going to be at on the 11th, perhaps.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, am I wrestling that day? Do I have a match tonight? No, yeah, I have a yeah, I have Playboy at the Playboy Paul Rose at the Stride at Holiday. No, it's not Holiday Havoc. That's what I wanted to call it. But it's the Christmas show for Stride, and super important if you're going to go to that show firsthand. Please be there. I like people at Stride; those shows are always fun. But also Holiday or Hostile Holiday. That's what it is. Yeah, I have Playboy Paul Rose. I've never wrestled him. I've only been backstage with him like once, so this is exciting. I like new matchups. This is he seems like a fun person. I'm a fun person, especially if Jay Spade's not going to be there. So it's going to be that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, Kevin Huntsberger with the My 123 Cents podcast is doing the toy drive. So if you show up, bring some toys for Kevin. I'm all for toy drives. I think I got to pick up some for him. So yeah, do that. Since we're talking about toys, donate to any Toys for Tots that's in your area or toy drives. Not every kid gets to have the fun that we did opening up toys as kids, or right now toys as adults. And I have a lot of enjoyment doing it. So I know that children probably also have a lot of fun doing it. So donate, especially around Christmas time for the kids. That's what Christmas is really for. So yeah, make it good for that, and then come see the wrestling show. We put on good stuff. I'm excited. Like I said, I like new matchups. We've barely talked, let alone had matches, like had a match together. So like, I'm really excited about this one.
Awesome. And you have social media, so people can check out your wrestling and possibly your figures.
Yeah, PZ85D Anthony on Twitter. I want to say my Instagram, which is where you'll see my action figures the most, is I'm actually looking it up right now. Dalton underscore Anthony 92. About to say, just if you see a bunch of cats and action figures, that's me. Uh, and then yeah, I put my customs I do up there every once in a while. I do some custom work. I've made some pretty cool sets and stuff. So yeah, check that out. Give them all a like. Let them know that you heard me through here. We'll talk about action figures. I can do this forever. So if you
Yeah,
message me, I'll
indeed.
definitely talk to you about toys.
Indeed. And thank you all for having listened. Like I said, talk about your figures in the comment section below, or catch us on social media. Mine is facebook.com/athleticgeek9, Twitter athletic_geek9, Instagram athleticgeek9. If you'd like to help improve this channel financially, I promise it will go into the channel, not into action figures. If you do this, please believe me. I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeeking9. It will go to improving the equipment and improving the lighting. It will not go to adding more to the vast collection that I have. I know you might have a hard time believing that after this podcast, but thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.